is. Hey everybody, it's Fat Man from the Holler. As usual, if you like my videos, hit like and subscribe. Today is the Lyman primer tool, and what it is, I have two comes with this. One is going to be, you can see on the back it says one is small, and then the next one is big. And then what you do is, you see how it's designed, it's like almost square. You slide this down in all the way, and so it does not come out. It has a collar, and you place this collar on it. And what this collar does is, when you push right here, it has a rod inside the case, and you can see the rod comes up when you push the lever, and that's what seats it. And then say, check this out, you have your bullet ready to go to put the primer in it. Okay, and then you see this right here. It's not a safety or something like you'd think. What it does is, when you press this down and you look on the inside, what it does is shuts off more primers from falling into it. So when you actually, whoops, I actually shouldn't have done that. It actually popped off on me. But anyway, when you get done, like say you press it, the primer goes in, and then you want another primer to come out, you push that up, your primer will go in, and then something more doesn't come out, you push that down to prevent that, and then you just press this, you press the handle, and it seats it. And I read the reviews on it on Amazon, and some of the people said it doesn't seat it deep enough. Well, some people are hard to please, and then some people may be improperly using the tool. But I haven't used it, but I'd rather have the tools needed than not have them. And the reason I bought this, because I bought the E-ZEE that's actually for installing primers, and it has to be mounted. And being made of like a pot metal, a piece of it broke off, and it's kind of being tricky in another video, and those that have seen it will understand what I'm saying. But as you look right here, it says the cover, and then as you read right here where it says B, it says the primer stop. And then you have your retaining collar, then you have your body, you have your handle, and then you have your tray assembly. And you have two sizes. It says large and small, and it says made by Lyman, and then it says 4075 Smith Street, Middletown, Connecticut, and then 06457. It has a phone number that you can call, two phone numbers, and it has a product website. And then right here, it shows you how it works, to where you assemble it, and once you successfully assemble it, then you'll see right here, it shows how to get take the case off, put the primers in it. And then if you read the safety part of it, the safety part right here says, wear safety glasses at all times when handling primer cases. Never attempt to seat or reset a primer in a loaded round. Of course, that should be known. And then handle primers with care, never force or excessively shake the primers. That's probably a good idea, because primers can ignite. And it says keep the number of primers in the tray to the minimum. Never add more than 100 primers to the tray. Pretty evenly understood. The primer tool must be held so that the priming tray is away from the user. Never smoke when handling primers or powder. Of course not. Only store primers in the original packaging. If primers are left in the tray, remove them and return them to original packaging. Never allow children to handle this tool or reloading equipment. Keep the cover on the primer tray in use, and it says use only new primers in good condition. Never use a primer of unknown type, condition, or age. Primer pockets should be clean. In military cases, must have the primer crimp removed before seating primers. Okay, and then keep priming tool in case being prime pointed. And I actually will be putting everything in the box. And then over here, it shows you to seat the primer so that it's slightly deeper than the face, which, as you can see in this illustration right here. And then it shows the primers in it in 8A, and then you have your case, and then you put the primer in it. But I don't have the other tool exactly I needed, just yet because I don't have the ability to buy it. But what it is, it's a tumbler, and the tumbler comes with a little rotary box for sifting it. So you pull everything out of the tumbler and you pour it into this little basket, and you gotta use the other stuff that I showed from Franklin Arsenal, the case lube. And then you turn the crank, and it sifts all the media out into a 5-gallon bucket that actually can be reused a certain amount of times, depending on how much reloading you do. And you separate that. You keep your cases clean, and then once your cases are clean, then the next move is using the primer tool like this, and then installing the primers into a clean brass case with the primer pocket very clean so it can be seated, and then you can install your primer, and then from there you can move on to whatever style press you use. If it's RCBS or Lyman or Lee or whoever, and whatever caliber you're using, you have to have your proper die for die crimping it. And then the primer's in, you weigh your powder out, or you have your dispenser if it's electronic or what have you, but I manually do it by hand. I load the powder to charge it, and the primer's in. Then the next thing, you add your bullet, and then you do your crimp. And I do everything in stages. And how I do everything in stages is I'll clean all my cases, check all the primer pockets to make sure they're set up, and then I'll do 50 at one time where I install all the primers at once. And I'll have, usually most of the time, I'll have 2 boxes, and then one box will be clean and adequately clean primer pockets, and the next one will be the primers. And then from there, to go through the process is swapping out boxes. Then I'll go through each one and load each shell, and then I'll place the new loaded shells back into one case and close it, and then take the empty ones out and assemble all the primers, etc. And it's a good idea to probably, actually, you don't have to use the case sometimes, because I actually do have blocks for placing them in, and you can set your blocks here. This is just going to be you can have it marked like you put a C on it for this is clean cases, and then you can have a P on one for prime cases, and then from there you can have another case for finished product. And I just put my own little symbolization like letters on it because I know exactly what it is: clean, primed, and then I'll put F on it for finished, and stuff like that, or whatever little way you want to do it. But it just goes clean and then primed, and then that's about it. And then I don't ever put powder in them and leave powder setting. It's putting a primer in is one thing, but you don't want to leave powder in because it can get knocked over and stuff of that nature. But I think this tool right here is going to be perfectly adequate for doing what I'm doing, and it's going to be a backup tool just in case that lead that I was having a little bit of problem with in the other video doesn't hold up to be something that's going to be ideal for what I'm doing. So I always have a backup plan, and I'll keep on hitting these reloading shops so I can find some products, etc. So I can find me some powder, and I'm searching for Hogdon, like Universal, so I can do large handgun and shot shells, because that's more of a cost-effective way. And if it costs me $40 for a pound, not bad. And if I had more money, I'd probably buy it'd be more ideal to buy 3 pounds so I could do a lot more reloading. And then I'd have to get my 209 primers and then large handgun primers, etc. And then a lot of places, they don't say you can use, I don't know, people try to tell me different things, but 209 primers, there's 209 primers that are just black powder, and there's 209 primers that are for shot shells. And then if you look at some of the Magnum type stuff for larger casings, it's actually a 209 primer. But a lot of people don't want to reveal that because they'd rather you buy a whole bunch of stuff and spend a whole bunch of money than actually spending a little money and be able to utilize every part of it. And then in certain kinds of powders like green and red dot, you just really have to have the right recipe, because that green and red dot in different powders, the ignition is going to be from the primer, because some primers may have a little delay to it versus being faster. And then that's how you selectively pick your powder placement for that. And then as the powder and the proper primer's picked, also like if it's shot shells, you need to figure out what kind of shot you're doing, and then what kind of brand is it going to be. Remington, Winchester, Federal, and stuff of that nature. And it also pertains to metallics, and which is metallics everybody knows or don't. And those who don't know, metallics is what they call rifle and handgun brass. They call it metallics. And then shot shell is just called shotguns, is actually shot shell. And then the bullet casing that all the assembly goes in is the hull. So that's that. And hopefully you enjoyed the video. And I'm going to keep on acquiring tools to the point I can actually successfully, hopefully, come up with the materials needed for reloading. If these stores would actually have it, I don't know if it's a government issue, a supply issue, or what it is, but I've actually checked Midway USA, I've checked Graf & Sons, I've checked all over the place, and I still haven't had any luck because the stuff that I need is not there. So that's okay. I know a lot of people reload, and sometimes the inventory may be lacking because of the supplier, but some of the people actually make some of the primers and the reloading equipment. There is manufacturers in the state of Missouri. So if I continue to have problems, I might get a hold of one of the manufacturers, and I'll start acquiring it that way, even if I have to pay more, just so I don't have to deal with the waiting game. And hopefully you enjoyed my video, and that is all.